In lesson 1, we talked about the tools of the craft and what type of yarn you would need and the size needle. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to be using for the project before we begin with the cast on. You can use any worsted weight yarn. I am using Malabrigo Rios, and this is a worsted weight. It's 210 yards or 100 grams, and the colorway is 227 Vulcan. And that's it right there. You can use any an acrylic or whatever. This is 100% superwash merino, but like I said, you can use any weight yarn, and try to find a weight that would be easy to get hold of in any. If you don't have a yarn store near where you live, you can get this at Walmart. You could use an acrylic yarn you could buy at Walmart or Hobby Lobby or Joann's, anything like that. And the needles I'm using, you could use straight needles or circulars. I'm using circulars, and I am using some needles I've had for years. These are also available very commonly. That's why I chose to use these. These are Boy needles. That's the name brand. It's spelled B-O-Y-E. These are US size 8s. The one thing I don't like about these are relatively cheap needles. As you will see, they have a lot of memory. The cords on this are very stiff. But like I said, they are readily available, and so I figured they would be an easy one to show you. You can see how much wear I've had on these. The coloring on these are coming off, and the points have actually worn down to the point they're silver, and they're actually flat in some spots. These are my very first pair of circular needles. So with that, we're going to begin the cast on, and I will show you how to do that. There's two different types of cast ons that you can do. There's a knitted cast on, and there is a long tail cast on. You can use either one of these for the cowl, and I am going to show you both ways. We'll begin with the knitted cast on. You're going to start about 6 inches up on your yarn, because you want to have a good sized tail to weave in at the very end. You're going to make a slip knot, and you don't want it too loose or too tight, just snug. And you're going to slip one of the needles in. You're basically going to be doing your very first knitting stitch. So you will take your other needle, and you're going to go up through the hole that you created, up through that slip knot. Wrap the yarn around the back of both needles, and then come in between the two. This front needle here is going to come over top of the needle in the back, and you'll see you have a little loop right here. This little loop is going to become your next stitch. You're going to take this needle, move it up to the left needle, and slip it over the top, and pull it. Don't pull it overly tight. You want to keep them relatively just snug, but not tight. So now you have 2 on the needle. So we'll do that one again. You're going to come from the underneath, go up through the loop. So your right hand needle is now in the back. You take your yarn, you're going to come from the back and wrap it right in between the 2 needles. The needle in the front comes over top, and this loop that's on your right needle now slides over the top of your left needle. You now have 3 stitches. I'm going to do a few more, and up through the center, up through the underneath. Your yarn comes from the back, wraps around and in between the 2 needles. This needle comes over the top, creates your loop. Your loop goes onto your left needle. I'll do that one more time. Your right needle goes up through the hole or the loop on the left needle. The yarn in the back wraps around between the two needles. The needle in the front, which is your left needle, slips over the top, and the loop that is left then goes onto the left needle. You now have 5 stitches. You are going to, if you choose to do this type of cast on, you're going to make 100 of these loops or stitches. Now to show you the long tail cast on, you're going to need, ahead of time, use a tape measure and measure out 75 inches of your yarn. And I've done this ahead of time. Measured my loop out ahead of time, and you're going to measure 75 inches. Then you make a slip knot. You take one of your needles, put them up through the loop. Now you've got a real long tail here of 75 inches, and then you've got the yarn that is attached to the rest of the skein of yarn. So you're going to hold both of these in your hand, in your left hand, sort of forming a V. You can put your fingers between the two threads so they're held apart. So it forms a V. And now tip your hand like up, tip it up after having it down. So let me show that to you again. Your yarn is looped around your needle. You're going to insert your 2 fingers into the top, from the top down, and then you're going to tip your fingers up. You're going to take this needle, you're going to wrap it underneath the yarn that's right here. So you're going to wrap it underneath, and then you're going to grab the thread of the yarn that is to the right, and you're going to pull it tightly. Not too tightly, but snugly. Let's do this again. You're going to tip your fingers up. This yarn that is closest to you, you're going to grab the underside, come up through the center, and grab the yarn that is to the right, which would be in the back. And you're going to pull that through the loop that you've created. Pull it down snugly, and now you've got 3. We'll do it again. You've got your fingers down through here, tip them up, go from underneath the yarn that is closest to you, and then loop around the yarn that is furthest away from you. You're basically forming a slip knot, and you're going to slide it onto there. I'll do it a few more times. This is much faster than the knit method of casting on. I've already got 7 stitches, and if you go at full speed, you can do this pretty fast. And you are going to cast on 100 stitches in this way. So if you want to pause your video now and cast on your 100 stitches in either way that you prefer, then I will begin to teach you the next step.